all of us. I think that it's not been an easy journey, but yeah, we made it. So we thank God. To God be the glory. And at the right time, we'll extend gratitude to the right people. Yeah, if I say the right people, you know the right people I'm talking about. So, Gabs, let's go to Liberia. They are seeking to either elect or re-elect a president to lead them. Yesterday, we had the occasion of looking at the performance of George Weah. My panelists were of the opinion that he has not really performed to his full potential, in ameliorating the challenges of the people in Liberia. Indeed, their argument is based on the premise that he, when he was a footballer, was a philanthropist. So I think that people, thought that being president, he will extend that shoulder of support to the people of Liberia. But governance is different from football. Philanthropism is different from, government work. And so perhaps he's not been able to deal with the challenges of the people in Liberia. Now, I also read that if you look at the performance after COVID-19, I think within a short period, right after COVID-19, there was a rebound in the economy, primarily on the basis of some external demands for some supplies, or produce from Liberia. So it helped stabilize the country a bit. But subsequent to that, there's been what's it called? Mining has plummeted, agriculture has plummeted, and so the economy itself is not as buoyant as it's supposed to be. So this is the kind of luggage or baggage, or maybe SSs. NDC doesn't want me to use the word like a baggage, so I'll use SSs that perhaps is going into the elections with. Now we know the former vice president who has been trying to lead the country. The challenge for George Weah, as many have said, is that he had the support of the war leader at the time before he became president. Now the man has switched camp. So the fear is that all those people who follow him may not necessarily follow George Weah. And so that is the dynamics that we are looking at now going into this particular election. What are your thoughts, general thoughts on the elections before we look at the specifics?
Let me say good morning to our viewers, and a special good morning to the NDC fraternity, especially my comrades in the central region. Yesterday was the end of the voter registration exercise, and though there are a bit of some challenges, some people did not get the opportunity to be registered before the process ended. According to the EC, they will open registration again, and then people will be given the opportunity to go and do the registrations. We are looking forward to the next window opening so that we can get more people to be registered. On the Liberia elections, I think there is really a referendum on George Weah and his performance as a president. As you said, playing football and managing football is not the same as governing a country. Governance is a much more complicated and a much more complex exercise. And his governance has been plagued with a whole lot of issues. You've mentioned accurately the issues in the economy. He's dealing with issues in corruption. There's the reports that a whole container load of $100 million disappeared. There's a country that is currently experiencing an increase in drug use amongst the citizens. Every 2 in 10 Liberians is using narcotics, and Liberia is now getting notoriety as a transit hub for drug trafficking. And that is very worrying. This is a country that for the last 20 years has been recovering from a civil war and is not actually out of the doldrums yet. So George Weah has an uphill task to convince the people of Liberia that he still has the magic wand to continue his government and to bring some relief and development to the country. He's going against 19 other candidates. That's a long list of people contesting to be president. But these three here are the main key contenders.
If the camera can capture them.
The former vice president and the businessman Alexander Cummins. Both gentlemen have very strong credentials in terms of governance and business. This one has been a vice president before, so he understands the Liberian situation much better than the others who haven't had that experience. But I think that by and large, we wish that they're going to have a very peaceful election. The people are very much interested in casting their votes, that is for sure. I've been watching news snippets of the citizens commenting on it. And I don't know if you know this, but we have a lot of Ghanaian businessmen who are currently managing businesses in Liberia. Zoom Lion is one. Mr. Nick Danso, Ghana Link also has a scan operations in the Liberia port. So there are people who are looking to make sure that there's a peaceful election, and then the people's will is upheld in this election.
Well, people are saying that it's not relatively. It's a small country, and so economically they may not necessarily contribute to the general GDP of the sub-region, but the fallout from the elections may have ramifications on the West African sub-region, particularly Ghana. And if they are unable to conduct themselves in a manner which will allow for free and fair elections, then if there's any uprising or there's any civil war or there's any altercation which may lead to some tensions and things like that, Ghana will be the sufferers of that. So how do we as a country also sort of keep a closer look at the elections to ensure that we don't experience anything? I don't know how we're going to do that, but I think that we will suffer the brunt if things went south.
I think that those who raise those concerns, I think, have a valid point, because at a point in time when Liberia had a civil unrest, it was Ghana that took in the refugees into Goma Budobrom, the famous Goma Budobrom camp. But subsequently, many of them have returned back to Liberia. And Liberia for the last 20 years has been relatively peaceful. So, and mind you, they've had 4 elections already. The only difference this time round is that in those 4 elections, there was the presence of the United Nations peacekeeping troops there. But currently, it's the Liberian security forces that have to maintain that peace and order. But I believe that Liberia, if for nothing at all, over the last 20 years, has matured in its security. And this shouldn't be cause for violence or plunging that country into civil unrest. I don't think that anything like that is going to happen. It's just the fact that, typical of all elections, tensions always rise up because of the numbers involved and how everybody takes their sides in trying to make sure that it is their candidate that wins the day. And especially because of the role of the former vice president in there. So Ria is definitely going to face stiff competition, but I don't think it's going to end up in civil unrest. There are reconciliation processes that over the past 20 years Liberians have been going through to sort of rebuild their trust in their institutions and in each other, and to build that unity for them. I think that this election is a test to ensure for them to make sure that they've progressed beyond that animosity that existed within them in the past because of power struggles. I think that just like the last elections, these elections will also go peacefully, and at the end of the day, by tomorrow, day after tomorrow, Liberians will know who exactly it is they've chosen to lead them. A lot of the countries in the sub-region are going through economic difficulty. I mean, we are no exception. Liberia itself is also not going to be any exception. These people have weak infrastructure. So there are a lot of issues that are of great concern to them. When I was talking about the issue about corruption, I mean, there was a commission for reconciliation, another one that was to fight corruption, that made proposals to the state, and it even banned people, including Sir Johnson, from occupying public office anymore in Liberia. So there are institutions and there are programs that are used to try and uplift Liberia. I think that let's just extend our prayers to them, and then we wish them well, that they'll be able to transcend this and then.
Well, thank you very much. Nicely put. You're still watching the News Private segment here on Pan-African Television. My name again is Kwame Owusu Danso. We are streaming live on Facebook, facebook.com/Pan-African Television. You may want to share your views with us here. Let's come back to Ghana and deal with our own internal matters. Extend laws to cover political party elections. Occupy Ghana. Now, Occupy Ghana, a socio-political pressure group, has called on the Attorney General and parliamentary leadership to introduce a bill that will extend current laws on election offences to include party primaries and inter-party elections. The group, in a statement addressed to the Attorney General Godfrey Adame, Majority Leader Osei Chairman Sabonso, and Minority Leader Dr. Kesiel Atuforsen, expressed its concern about the growing trend of vote buying, intimidation, and violence, which it claims are associated with these types of elections. Occupy Ghana has been very concerned about the phenomena where persons use money and gifts to bribe voters and or use intimidation, violence, personation, insults, tribalism, falsehood, etc. against opponents in all elections. These have grown to shockingly brazen levels, especially in party primaries to elect presidential and parliamentary candidates and intra-party elections to elect party officials, the statement said. The group explained that both the Criminal Offences Act, Act 29, and the Representation of the People Act 1992, PNSA Law 284, contain elaborate provisions that criminalize all of these acts, explaining further that persons convicted of such offences are liable to a range of fines, terms of imprisonment, and even disqualification from voting. It, however, noted that apart from the fact that these provisions are hardly seen to be enforced, these statutes refer only to public elections, which are, as seen under Article 49 of the Constitution, may not cover party primaries and intra-party elections. So, I mean, this is the concern of Occupy Ghana. I'm surprised that they are speaking again, because I've not been hearing from them. Anyway, but I think it's a good call. Don't you think so? I think it's a good call that we streamline elections in this country, not necessarily even intra-party or whatever it is, but generally. Beyond streamlining the law is also enforcement of the law, because we do know and hear stories and seen videos of people doing or being involved in vote buying, etc. But the culprits are never brought to book, the culprits are never prosecuted, the law is never tested and all of that. So yes, they are asking that we expand the law to cater to some of these intra-party elections and things like that. But even with the existence of the one that covers the general elections, we are not seeing anything happen.
Well, there are two issues that this raises. One is about political funding, and the other is also about our implementation of laws generally. I'll take the political party funding first of all.
Very well.
You see, we've had our democracy since 1992. So, if for nothing at all, we've crossed 3 decades of multi-party democracy in Ghana. In these 3 decades, some of our laws obviously have to be retuned, because the modus operandi of political mobilization, political funding, and political activism has changed. Today, when you are going for elections, it has become a very expensive venture. And people are doing all kinds of things to outwit and outmaneuver each other just so that they can win. There's the reports of monies changing hands, the reports of gifts, the reports of all kinds of deals and arrangements. You vote for me when I come to power, I'll make you a minister. If you're able to organize this amount of money for the campaign, when I come, I'll give you contracts, and all these dealings that go on. Some of them just go straight into pure criminality. But the law is unable to catch people who are doing those things, because who's going to report it? I did that the political parties need funding. The political activists need funding. So which of them is coming to report, the giver or the taker? But if there are laws, and if we're moving into the implementation part, and if those laws were actually to be implemented and made to work, then there will be some element of fear when you are offering bribe or you are offering a deal to win an election or to finance a campaign. So that at the end of the day, when power gets to you, when you have control of power, you not circumvent systems and procedures and a whole country, what they call in modern contemporary political parlance, state capture, just because of some people who have backed you coming into office. Because at the end of the day, these things breed corruption, massive corruption. It means that you're not going to allow laws like your public procurement laws, etc. Your there's one that they call value for money procedures and SOPs to operate, because your focus is that this person brought 2 million to the campaign and you have to reward him. So we will do everything to make sure that he gets a contract, even if he doesn't qualify technically for it, because of what he has done. You are forced to compromise and serve him. And at the end of the day, it is a country that is destroyed for it. If you don't get the right caliber of companies, of contractors, of business people, of consultants to do credible work for the country, and then you are using it just based on what a person's contribution was to a campaign, then obviously we'll not be making much headway. And if you look at Ghana in contemporary times, currently under this NPP administration, we've had this as a big problem. When we went to Assam North for the by-election, right, it wasn't like somebody said. I mean, it was so glaring that people were offering voters 200 cedis to go and vote. And it was a well-orchestrated machinery. You have somebody who stands at a position so they can watch into the voting box to see which part where your thumb is actually hitting.
I see.
So that they'll confirm that you actually voted for that candidate. You come out, somebody else will walk you to where they are sharing the money, and the person who watched is the one who gives confirmation that you actually voted for their candidate. So there's a whole machinery that people put in place just to try and win these votes. In the same arsenal, there's this polling station that's a very famous one that came up during the election that they called Asempanaye. Because in that constituency, in that particular polling center, clearly the NDC was outdone. The money sharing scheme was like walking into Makola market and doing transactions. And the NDC was just sitting there helpless. But you see, at that particular center, the NDC, people in the NDC told the voters that they are selling themselves short, because in other polling centers, like Praso and the rest, they are paying voters 400, 600 cedis. So these voters, since it's not a transactional election, decided that in that case, they are not going to vote for 200. They are going to vote for 400 and 600. And then people had cause to come and complain to the NDC that what we were doing was voter suppression, when in actual fact they had introduced vote buying glaringly. And from what I wasn't in Kumewu, but I was told that that's the same thing that happened in Kumewu as well. So some of these practices, they don't help the country. And if at the end of the day I have to buy your vote, Kwame, you've already sold me your soul and your spirit.
Absolutely.
There's no way you can hold me account on anything. So people have set a trial, and I think that even having this thing as a law, extend it also into education, into civil education, for people to understand that when you sell your vote, you've lost all sense of holding your leaders accountable, because yours was purely transactional. And when we drill these kind of issues down, people, I think that's when people actually see some of the benefits of what we are calling the democracy. Because currently how it stands, it's as if the whole thing has become just a business enterprise, a political business enterprise for a lot of people. There are people who come into politics, Kwame, aside the fact that they have deep pockets and big money bags to bring some legitimacy to them. You know that this person can't offer anything to this country. But by sheer virtue of the fact that they have money, they will outdo their counterparts, and then they get voted into power. They come into office. This could be an MP, an assembly member, anything. They come into office, and their focus is how they are going to make money from a system and not how to develop the country. So I think that is a good call that we extend the laws to cover political party elections. And some of these things are just pure criminality. Because even the issue that I raised earlier about the vote buying, it is against electoral laws for anybody, because your vote is supposed to be your secret, right?
Yes.
So it's against electoral laws. 1, to take a picture of your vote. 2, to show your vote to a second party or a third party. And it is also illegal to also take money for vote. And that these things are explicitly stated in our criminal code, criminal and offences code. But the enforcement of it, what happens? Last time we had the security people, I don't want to revisit this case, but these are the things that raises concern about election security. When we had one police officer condemn an IGP because of how security is run, and because he felt that these things were not allowed to happen in a particular election. But these things are wrong. Whichever way you look at it, it is wrong. And it is not an approach that any political party should want to be associated with, because it is purely criminal and it's against electoral laws and our Criminal Offences Act. So moving forward, I think that this call is needed urgently, and then most especially because our elections these days have become so expensive, Kwame. Anybody wants to vote for you, you go to a community, you do your advocacy, you tell them all the things you want to come and do for them. And that moment, everything you've said means nothing. All they care about is, give me money.
Do you blame them?
I blame them.
You don't. You can't blame them.
Why can't I blame them?
I mean, they've been mistreated, they've been lied to severally, and so they think that the only way to get what they deserve is when you come to them in need of their support. Then they can also. I think that sometimes it's the expectations of how they understand what governance really is. But what you tell them is what makes them think that governance is what it is. What it's supposed to be. If a government comes to office, and maybe your needs are a clinic, 3 schools from KG all the way to JSS level or secondary level, and maybe you need a market, and the government comes and is unable to provide you 2 of these things the way you want it. Maybe they get you a market and then they're able to build you a KG and a primary. Because people don't see that they have benefited financially from what has happened in their community, they think that the only solution is that they have to then take the money physically. Anybody who comes and campaigns you and says, I'm going to put money in your pocket, that is one of the most hardest thing any government can do. Because every government that came to promise Ghanaians that I'll put money in your pocket has not been able to deliver. Because 1, we don't have a strong currency. So definitely we will always be fighting inflation and depreciation until we sort out our structural challenges. We will always fight these two. So this thing about campaigning and say, I'll put money in your pocket, then the people then expect that somebody has to come and put physical money to them. It doesn't work. But you tell them that we need development. If we do the road for you, you get a good quality road. It can attract investment. You can have little shops along the road. You can have little restaurants and bus stops along the road, and you'll be making money out of your new road. But when you think that it is actually physical money that is coming, so because of that you don't see that money, you're waiting for the next election to show up and they come and take money
from people. That's why I said that the minute you do that, you have already sold your birthright as a citizen of this country. You can't sell your vote and still go and tell authority that you are not performing. It can't happen.
Very well. You are still watching Good Morning Africa live on Pan-African television. I am here with Gabriella Tetteh. We are still expecting Rabi to join us. I hope she gets here on time so that she can join in the conversation. Let me remind you that we are streaming live on Facebook, facebook.com/Pan-African television. We are also streaming on YouTube, youtube.com/Pan-African television. And finally, Rabi walks in when they get to their mics. Let me go for this quick commercial break. On my return, we'll look at the last two issues. Attack on UTV, Alan Blast NPP thugs as Frimpong Watson descends on government. That's the inside newspaper story. And 800 called to the bar. That's also the final story that we'll be looking at. Do I even need to go for a break? No, I don't.
So you have to go for a break.
No, she can't. Time. She can't. No, we are going on a 10 and a 4. No, we are going to 5 because we are closing at 9:30. It's 8:52 already. And so let me allow you. So we are not going for a commercial break. We'll stay on the show. So Gabs, let's again maybe just play, if we do have the video of the so-called thugs or hooligans who besieged the premises of UTV. Maybe we can play it so that we wait for Rabi to join us on the show. So if the producers can make the video ready, so that you know, of yes, you may. Good morning. Please have a seat. Rabi, how are you? Why today for the first time? What's going on?
I'm glad you just said for the first time.
You're right.
Yeah, not very well, but we thank God I'm here.
Right.
Things didn't go well this morning.
Sorry.
But we are on.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. But I'm glad you're here.
You and Gasa, you have issues with your timing. You always late.
Oh no, Gabi, don't do that.
We went to GTV. I started
you see
the same thing that is happening today.
You see that thing about NDC? They know what they want. Look, she's even the best. You know.
And she's complaining about her car.
So you say, did I mention a car?
Me car I came with Uber, and I was still on time.
Did I mention a car?
I saw you come down from an Uber. That's true.
KOD.
Yes,
the reality is that you just said my first time.
Yes, on the show. But she's talking about GTV.
This is not the first time on the show.
The viewers on Pan-African TV are mostly same viewers on other platforms.
Yes.
And they do watch me.
Absolutely.
They know the timing. They know how I get to the studio.
Yeah.
Yesterday, on Metro TV, I was there 30 minutes to the time. You can find out from Annie. I have always been. The only time she's referring to was on Friday.
Yeah.
So they said, my kids have relocated from Tamale to this place. Today is the day they are reporting in Corpus Christi.
Okay.
I need to be there at least for the first day.
No, that's important.
Presently.
That's important.
So I
tried
tried juggling, getting them settled in school and come here.
That's fine.
So that is it. So
that's
viewers,
fine.
I'm sorry this has happened, but that says who my mother is.
Yeah.
So just bear with us.
Okay.
She's just being mischievous. NDC and propaganda. I always say that's why they even had propaganda secretariat, a whole secretariat called propaganda, because that is what they feed on.
Okay.
We don't do
Listen,
that.
let me allow you.
Orange dress is nice, so don't do that.
No,
People in nice dress, so they don't do that.
Very nice.
And yes, sir,
with
don't do that. Don't mind her. Today that you're looking so nice.
Rabi, let's go into the matter.
I'm friend, yes, sir. I'll call Teller for you.
Oh dear.
Answer the
question. I'll call Kevin Teller for you. You are not the host. Let's go. There's no question here that we don't have answers to. You know.
Extend laws to cover political party elections. Occupy Ghana is saying that the general laws that we have.
It's true. She's right for saying I should comment on it.
Yeah, please.
And I'm glad you have just asked me to comment. Yes. You see, this is evidence. Corpus Christi.
Okay. No
I won't lie for anything.
No problem.
Thank you so much,
You're
Gabi.
welcome.
I'm even thanking him. Yes, and honestly, good morning to all our viewers, and then the leadership of my party. It's true that our political space needs certain reviews. Let me put it that way. When I say review, and this one I'm just being very clear, not NDC, not NPP, not CPP, but there are some issues when it comes to the way we man our activities that we need to look at critically. One of such which affects so many young politicians is monetization of whatever we do. 2 is mentorship. 3 is that one wouldn't say political parties haven't done anything but gender issues, taking women issues at hand. Now let's look at monetization. And I like it when they say, okay, they should look at laws to cover political parties. When looking at these reforms, it will be good for all political parties to come and always sit and say, look, how do we finance our campaign? Campaign financing is very critical. And organizations across board have actually mentioned that, look, political parties should find ways of financing their campaigns. And reading the 4th John, I told you I'm reviewing that book seriously, thanks to Manasseh Azure for writing that book. He made us to understand that, yes, there was an attempt made by some people that were perceived to be a shadow cabinet for President John Mahama, His Excellency former, that he needed this about 8 people who would sit behind the scene, not directly involved in his day-to-day governmental activities, but direct him in terms of policy. Now, these people came to say, okay, the good thing about this is that we aren't going to be involved because we want to curb corruption, because we have noticed that the people who invest in our campaign humbly appeal to our voters that, look, yes, we have gotten ourselves to a point where people will sell their votes, but always think about the outcome. If you don't look at free SHS, that has come to benefit over 1.6 million beneficiaries directly. As for the indirectly, we don't even talk about. If you don't look at Agenda 111, that is providing good health care for you. If you don't look at the ambulance service, that is giving you easy access. Did you see the issue of the woman that was picked on a tricycle when she was in labor? Very pathetic. So if you don't look at all these issues, if you don't look at the Maslow support, and just come to say because the NDC is coming to give you something to go and vote, that one would help us from electoral area election, assemblyman election, parliamentary elections, and even national elections. I think monetization should be checked in whatever we do. Yes, we need money or to be liquid to run our campaigns, but we should also look at how we do it, how we generate it internally, and the source we get these monies from, so that it doesn't even breed corruption when we do it in an extreme. The second issue I mentioned is the, which is very, very dear to my heart, is the women involvement. Yes, various political parties, in my party like this, we have a discount of up to 50% for women, yes, who are contesting. And if you are contesting, they will give, in terms of picking the nomination form, you'll be given. I have seen the practice of Tanzania. Is it Tanzania? This woman I was here, I think it was Tanzania. She was saying, like, look, we have an out-of-box quota, kind of like the core election is there, but they normally would organize a special election for women in both political parties. So NDC would have organized a primaries for women in the political parties to send 30% out of the total number of seats. So say we have 137, isn't it? So we have both sides presenting 30% being women out of their 137. That one is just bonus for the women before they go. And if you're a woman and you think you can still go and run in the main election and not the special election conducted for women, you can still go. And that has elevated them from when they were about 20% to over 50% women representation in their parliament. So that is a good one for us. Yes, we should look at mentorship as well. Gabi should be here. She should be proud to say, okay, I have maybe 20 young girls, I have 50 young girls who are looking up to me. Because we know the stigma when it comes to women in politics. We know the fear women do have in terms of that. So if these said laws are supposed to be reviewed. I don't know, I wasn't here, but if it is talking about reforms, if it is about enforcement, whatever the law should be looking at, it should cut across.
We looked at it from two perspectives. I think one of the things is not necessarily reforms, but to expand the net.
Expansion, good. So
to include intra-party elections and things like that. But also, one of the things that I raised, the questions that I raised, had to do with enforcement. That even the already existing law, the enforcement has become a challenge. You know, so we need to rather, in my estimation, focus more on, because if we are able to deal with the bigger picture, then the smaller pictures will automatically diminish. Yes. You know, then we don't necessarily even need to pass any law. Because once we deal with the main elections, you know, and people know that once you involve yourself in intimidation, voter suppression, and all those things, you will be prosecuted. They won't even,
Kodi, for me, I think they are all worth looking at. Yeah. But you see, it's just like you waiting for an opportunity and it comes. These issues I'm mentioning is something I have always reflected. It's issues of violence, issues of conduct, issues of peaceful process. All those things matter and they should be looked at. But of course, these issues I have also mentioned should be incorporated.
Absolutely, and I agree with you.
In looking at the laws and reforms of our political laws.
Especially with the involvement of women and things like that. I mean,
yes, we
must also be very deliberate about it. I agree with you.
I mean, that's why. For the NDC, for example, when we are going for elections, for the PCs, the women pay, I think, if it's 25,000 for the men, I think it's 20,000 for the women. So they try to
30%
give them some kind of
30% discount
rebates to be able to get in. No, but as to whether they will organize specific elections for just females,
it's doable. We can advocate. It's doable.
No, but you see, every candidate is dependent on the actual constituency. So you may go and take females, but the constituents don't want that particular female, and they reject that person.
Gabi, it's true, but you see, we have negotiations. We have dialogue. And you should indeed look at the dynamics.
Maybe not disagree.
Agree and put a candidate. They do. People agree on candidates at the constituency level. They do. Such negotiations happen.
Maybe not a disagreement, but my confusion is what are we looking for? And I'm happy with what this goes. Exactly. Because are we saying that yes, women, so women,
or not just women,
exactly,
women.
And are we also saying that if a woman is competent, of course there are constituencies in this country where women have contested with men and women have won.
Yeah.
So I think it should be rather equal footing and equal opportunities, a level playing field, and you see the women will beat the men.
You see, with exceptions, there are areas where, I'm not saying entirely all, but there are areas, honestly, where you have competent women, but still they have struggles just because they are women.
That's also
yes. So those exceptional challenges should be looked at, or cases should be looked at. Yes. However, when you look at the challenges, for instance, I'm glad that nowadays women in politics have actually been able to clear that myth of, say, if you are in politics, you ought to give yourself out before you get to where you are. Women have now proven beyond, or some women have now proven beyond just having your this to give. You see,
I know.
Yes. So what I am saying is that yes, the perception around women in politics, it's about competence not being enough. It's about access. Yeah, some places they don't even allow you to be part of the process. Yeah. It's also about self-development.
Absolutely.
You, the woman, should add value. You shouldn't just be passive. You shouldn't just say, I'm Gabriella Tetteh or Tetteh. I should be given the privilege. So what? It should go beyond your beauty. It should go beyond your connection. It should go beyond your sexual libido. I'm saying that it's silent. But rather what you bring on board.
Absolutely.
So I'm speaking to my colleague women that look, now the globe is moving fast forward than we all expected. The reality has come to our face. Wherever you are, brighten your corner. If it is about reading, just open your mind, read, ask questions. If you fail today, you will certainly come back strong tomorrow.
Let me on the basis of this, let me actually comment. Amma Pratt and her team for the Obasima project that they are doing. and several other women, you know, in that space.
And other people,
you know,
who are also
because AMA's project, it's not because it's my wife, but an AMA's project is a project that is developing women from tertiary institutions, giving them access, ensuring that they meet the right mentors.
Great.
You know, people who encourage them and things like that. And you know, most of the women who are now SRC presidents are from Obasima Academy.
Wow.
Yes, because
From
they were given because they were. You can do it. One of the girls, the GIJ lady, for instance, I'm told that she was in a conversation with Amma, and then, you know, Amma said, but you can contest. Then she said, oh no, you know, it's a male-dominated. She said, no, do it. She did it. She won.
Wow.
You know, so I think that I agree with you when you say, but it's also the women. Sometimes they feel that they are not, you cannot do it, but you can actually do it.
Yeah, we need to encourage each other.
Gabby, don't you think so?
Sometimes, because women are created more emotional, sometimes the difficulty is that when you put yourself out there and you come under attack, you will not be able to withstand it. The other thing also is also about fundraising. Unfortunately for many women, they don't go offering themselves to men. But the men demand it of them when they need support. And there are some women who are strong enough to walk away. And unfortunately, there are also some women who don't give a damn and ambitious enough to want to do whatever for what it is that they want.
What Gabby just said, even being bold enough to walk away has to do with the substance you have in you.
Absolutely. Yeah,
if you know I have beyond just giving you that to do, you boldly speak and go away.
I agree with
That's
you.
just what I'm adding to.
Well, you're still watching the newspaper segment here on Pan-African Television. These women are definitely giving us some education this morning. I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm sure in the next maybe 10, 15 years, women will actually dominate the political space, because with the way they are going, you know, I think that, and all of us must support, you know, to ensure that women actually gain their rightful place in politics. It's important. Because even
the women in parliament also currently, you know, they're split 2020. I think that they should also show more interest in getting more young girls to aspire to be like them.
Let me bust your bubble a little bit. You know, this Don't Tax My Period project, which has been embarked upon by Obasima and then Socialist Movement of Ghana.
Yes.
The bill is actually now being sponsored by Francis Xavier Sosu.
Yes.
The argument is that you have women in parliament who didn't see the need to advance the cause of other women, especially when they are also women and they buy parts. Is it because they can afford? So I think we had, Amma had a conversation on the couch with Kojo Yankson, Johnny Hughes.
I think I saw that one last week.
You saw that one, yeah. And Kojo Yankson, you know, said it beggars belief that women are in parliament and a man is sponsoring the bill. How?
They are our bigger sisters.
But we want to encourage them to do
we think that they are in a very good position to advocate a lot more on getting young girls interested in. Maybe they are afraid of competition and a woman will come and throw you out of your seat. But competition is good. And competition helps you to become better, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Attack on UTV. Alan blasts MPP thugs as Frimpong Boateng descends on government. I don't know if the producers, the video is ready. If it's not ready, let me go straight to Rabi and hear her take on this matter. By the way, let me say that I really greatly admire Dr. Richard Ahiagba for, you know, his conduct, the way he handled the issue. You know, the fact that he actually went to UTV the same night to render an unqualified apology and also to distance the party from, you know, the said action. I honestly, genuinely was very, very elated when I saw that. But that notwithstanding, let's look beyond the apology and get into the areas of the conduct of certain people, not just in your party, but also generally, you know, how they conduct themselves when they are in power. And I'll cite some examples that in the event that there's a power change or there's a change in power, or you know, there's a political change in power, you'd realize that people will occupy positions. People will go into offices and sack people. You remember how Nanka Bruce was treated. You remember how the Rexec boss was treated. You remember how some people entered the court premises, you know, and all of that. We have plethora of examples of people taking the laws into their own hands because they claim they are affiliated to a political party. Is that the way to go in this 21st century political dispensation?
Violence is not the way to go.
Yeah.
And I have always said it. Even in our last discussion here, you mentioned the coups and all that, and I said, look, violence is not something I admire. It's not something that I would ever want to be associated with, and it's not something I will ever encourage. And gladly, and very fortunate for me, the party is so clear on this. Very, very clear that, look, this is not us. We are not known for this. This is not whom we are. Yes, the gentlemen tried explaining their side of the story. However, I think, yes, it's not a good practice. That should stop and should never happen. Given the background of this whole happening, because I have been part of the process, it started from a letter that was issued by our finance and admin director, Mr. William. And Mr. William's position was so clear. He said, look, we are a political party. We admire what you're doing. We watch the United Showbiz program.
Right.
We enjoy it. However, lately you give opportunity for some individuals to come on your show to call people names, to attack personalities of our leaders. That we are not very comfortable with. If you are willing to make it a political program, please go ahead, call us, we will give you panelists to come and talk politics on that show. But if it is just entertainment, we would wish that you stick to your entertainment and go on with it. Fast forward, the letter was found circulating on social media, on their studio. Discussions were done on this letter. Then myself, Richard Ehiagba, and then Duke Ayimedu went in on behalf of the National Communications Directorate, because we didn't send the letter, but it was our colleague who sent it on our behalf. And we, being facilitators of communication in the party, we needed to go and further discuss what is really happening. So when we went, we met Father, we met hosts of the program, and some other stakeholders who were there. Then the discussion went on. Dr. Richards said our position clearly, that this is why we are here. Not to determine the content of your program. Not to say we wouldn't watch your program again, no. But just to say, yes, as stakeholders, as people we work with, this is just our expectation. If you want to present, I remember him even say he's happy to come on the show if they are presenting political panelists. And they said, no, we have political program. And he said, so that best explains it. If you have a political program, stick to the politics. And if you have an entertainment program, because according to Father, they have some individuals who come as guests on the program who actually use very harsh language or very hard words. So we had the opportunity to say, okay, what happens to the etiquettes? What happens to the regulations in your station? And what happens to we believing that press freedom is not about insults? What happens to all these morals? So the reality was that we spoke with them. They said it's true. We can talk to them to be measured, because use of these hard words wouldn't bring any of us good results. We ended it there. We promised we're going to continue watching the program. Just last Saturday, I went for a program at the National Theatre. There was a program, Woman on Top. This lady Jacinta did a comedy show there. I was there. Then in the program, I picked my phone to just check my messages. Then I found out that this is happening at UTV. I said, no. Fortunately, and kudos to our information minister and the entire ministry, they quickly called the police, laid complaint, went to give an official report, and said, come and get this young man out for investigation. So they came, got them out of the place, went on. We all saw those videos being circulated, showing what the guys had to say, and not to justify what they said. But the young man said, look, we are sympathizers of a political party. We found out that somebody sat on national TV and destroyed our letter. And the letterhead there means, destruction of such letterhead means disrespect to us. So we were only here to tell them, no, we aren't happy about it and such shouldn't be repeated. That's what, I'm not quoting the young man, but that's what he tried making me understand. And I'm sure that's the understanding other people also got. So this was it. Now, Richard got there. He actually took his time to explain and everything, and that doesn't even move from where we are still as a political party. We condemn it, we highly discourage it, and we hope and know that such will not happen again. Police is investigating it. We are willing to support them in any kind of investigative process they want to have, and that will be done, and that will be done very well. So we are on. That is going on, and then I know. Yesterday on another sister platform, I tried making a point or sending a point across, which actually some people started reacting to. But look, I think that is the case. As we are talking about these issues, nothing prevents me from saying my thoughts, because a situation can happen. But what means here is just touching on the possibilities. And the possibilities I am looking, I'm not saying that is the case, but these are the possibilities. It could be some people seeking cheap popularity. It could be some people from the opposition using our own guys against us. It could also be our own people who are opposing the current national executives trying to make us unpopular, also doing that. You may never know. So what I am saying is that it's very wrong for them to have done that. But I know after the investigation, the due process will be taken. And for NDC coming to tell us that, yes, NPP has done this, they are violent, there is. Look, I always remind them that if you live in a glass house, don't throw stone. Because if you mention 10, we will mention 20.
Right. Yeah. Thank you very, very much for your submission. Let me come to you, Gabriella. You can't wait. Let me come to you, Gab. Yes, Gabi.
Rabi and her NPP colleagues, I think, are suffering identity crisis. How do you expect that an entertainment program cannot discuss political issues? So you want political commentators, party political communicators, to go and sit and talk about entertainment industry. You were once upon a time an entertainer.
Yes.
And from the creative arts.
Yes.
Why, please? I was quiet when you were talking.
It shouldn't be the call.
I was quiet when you were talking.
Rabi, let her advance.
Why is Mark Okreku Mante sitting there as is he minister or deputy minister?
Minister, I think.
As tourism and creative arts something. If the creative arts is also not political, in fact, tell me, which sector of this country is not political and open for political discussions? You promised the creative arts industry one district, one theater. Did you deliver on it?
One word.
You promised them a Hollywood kind of industry with theater. Have you been able to deliver on it? I heard there's this amphi something. I don't even know what that was supposed to be. That is supposed to be under construction all over the place. Typical of NPP, they go and dig foundation, reach lintel level, and they stop. That's the end of those projects. And if people who are in this industry are sitting and discussing issues that concerns them, and how government is relating to them,
you call it
how do you go and criticize and say that they are doing politics? Every sector of this country is open to political debates and discussions, because it's about livelihoods and people's welfare and jobs and careers and everything. You, as a political party, the people who you send, like Dana Samoa, she went to attack a lady who was complaining that things have become, she's an NPP member, but things have become so expensive for her. And because she mentioned Akufo-Addo's name, Dana Samoa went straight for the woman. Started speaking some funny English on the show. She's one of your ambassadors for the creative arts. Apart from her, I don't know which other person in the creative arts industry you've helped in this country. Kwame, the NPP is notorious for attacking people. You made mention of a few. Let me add some to it for you. In 2008, the NPP's Lee Alibonte and his people barged into Radio Go Studios seeking to stop a show. In 2012, Nana B and his people went and attacked Asempa FM. That time Bobie was the host. Owusu Bempa, this same Owusu Bempa, who is refusing to put on weight after all the money. They barged into UTV, this past one, with A+. Do you know that in 2003, the current NPP vice chairman for Asawase constituency is called Noah Owusu, and his gang stormed into Fox FM in Kumasi. The following year, the same thing happened at Nkosoro FM, also in Kumasi. So this is something that the NPP has been doing. It didn't start today. But since today, they have realized that, in fact, now after the condemnation from well-meaning Ghanaians and everybody, we are progressing. And maybe a while, and some will jai. Start acting like the embrancher that you claim you are in your party. Some of these things, tagri, hooliganism. In fact, the Bank of Ghana governor, he made a mistake. These were the real hooligans. These ones, uninvited. And I'm surprised about UTV. How did these people climb all the way to the studios without anybody stopping them? Or was it that they came in so rowdy that everybody was afraid of them? Or worried? How did they even get that far? And I'm surprised, because as for UTV, we will know where they stand. So we don't consider their platform as a pro-NDC platform. In fact, as for that particular show, we only want it for entertainment purposes. To ease our stress, because we know where they stand. But Rabi, this message should go to your communication directorate, including your Minister for Information, that when it comes to politics, it transcends every single sector. So when you meet people in the entertainment industry discussing political issues, you have to be tolerant and understanding. And yes, Kwame A+ tore up your letter. And so what? Kwame, were we not here in this world when President Trump went to Congress to go and read his speech? And right behind him, when he handed his speech to Nancy Pelosi, the woman stood in front of the world and tore Trump's speech. Girl.
Right.
Girl.
Right.
Massa. So Terry let us there. The message was clear. You are upset that they are discussing political issues on an entertainment show. And the panelists were saying that the Constitution grants them that they can have those kind of free speech to talk whatever they want to talk. And today I'm telling you that they have every single right to discuss politics on their show. Because they are equally feeling your bad policies. The promises you made, you could not deliver. Amphibian, I can't pronounce that damn thing. Because it hasn't gone beyond foundation. She's looking somewhere.
She's enjoying the sense.
Me, I'm not making sense. Your listeners are the ones who know that I'm talking to the sense or not. Kwame, please. Kwame, the point you made clear to Rabi and your people. Every industry is political. Anybody who sits on the platform has freedom of speech to express whatever it is they want to speak, including having political discussions pertaining to their industry. It is permitted. You, on the other hand, have no bearing to write them a letter and come and decide what they should discuss on their show. You don't run the editorial policy for UTV. If you want to go and do that, go and tell your communication director, of which you are deputy director, go and sit with UTV and go and plan that one out. But until anything like that happens, UTV is free to put out whatever content they want, whatever discussion they want, whether you like it or you don't like it. It is granted them that they can go ahead and do that. You, on the other hand, had no right to send your boys into those studios to go and disrupt their show. Now they said they are going to focus some committee to investigate. Their youth organizer says he's taking responsibility. There's supposed to be some committee to look into it, and whatever is going to happen will happen to their boys. The police are also investigating it, and then we'll see what comes out of it. But these are just one too many, Rabi. You should change.
Let me read a few messages.
All right.
Mo Kamara says, good morning to you, KOD. Watching you live from Bujumbura, Liberia camp about Liberian election. We need peaceful election free from violence and intimidation. Okay. Rabi, are you aware that your party is at crossroads? The president said the next president will come and solve problems facing us. So why is the president and NPP still wasting our time? This one also says, it's from Mo Kamara. I think you're still referring to the Liberian elections. Senor, the said letter is useless. Their concerns cannot be forced on a media house. Okay. Okay, in fact, I'm sure Gabriella Tetteh's NDC and the family should be proud of her. She's very good product for the youth. Well,
thank you.
Okay. Well, Rabi, my time is up, but let me just give you a minute. I'm sure you wanted to touch on a few things that Gabi said. Sure. Yes, madam.
I would equalize on this situation because Ghanaians are watching, and I respect their memory. They don't have short memory as the former president wanted us to believe. They do keep the facts. It still plays in their mind. And the most recent one that has to do with Sadiq in Dagbon FM is the easiest to be fetched. Leaving it there, we have a track record of coming out to condemn our own, of coming out to sanction our own publicly. Honorable Ambrose Derry has issued not once, not twice, statements, warnings to our youth, telling them, look, you are from a home that its hallmark is discipline.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want you go out there and communicate otherwise to the masses. No. You are not mole, excuse my language, like the NDC. You aren't known with records like that of the Azoka boys. You are not known for burning billboards when your senior members are not giving appointments.
All right.
You are not known of beating media men in the grass, in the bushes. However, it's just unfortunate that people copy and sometimes they copy wrongly. I strongly believe our young men are beginning to copy the style of the NDC. And this morning, I want to humbly appeal to them that, look, we are from a home that is a disciplined one. We are from a home that is known to be an elite home. We are from a home that respects freedom of speech. We are from a home that is in for nation development and nation building. Right. So do not look at them. Do not copy them. Right. Let's be tolerant enough.
Thank you.
And the National Party is saying, don't do that.
Gabi, also a minute for you and wrap up.
Kwame.
Yes, madam.
The NDC is not known for chasing pregnant judges out of court. The NDC is not known for chasing national security coordinators from their offices. A whole kennel was chased out for the sake of his own life. He did not say anything. He did not utter a word. These people are your vigilantes.
Our young men are copying your bad boys.
Your people are the ones that I mentioned have been storming radio stations since the year 2000. And the year 2023, you are still storming radio stations. When at all will you people come and tell me you're from elite? Elite what? This is elitism. And some say elitism. Hey.
Thank you, Rabi. Thank you, Gabriella, for your time. Thank you for watching the Newspaper Review segment here on Pan-African Television. The morning show continues. You want to stay with us. Bless and Ohima will be back to continue with the show.